there? Yeah, that'll work. Huh? Where you at, cat? Are you a happy cat? Yes. Get to hang out and groom yourself and be a weirdo. Yeah, does that work out? What are you, dog? You're on the floor? You're on the floor. Okay. Dog's not to be found. Okay. We're up. We're happening. Woo! Hello, everybody. Shiny Shirt Week is over. So yesterday was the last day, day 30. Now it's back to just, normal shirts. So, Ryan Cohen tweeted out ice cream yesterday. 7 ice cream sundaes with 6 of them having sprinkles and 1 of them not. In the past, Ryan has said that he celebrates a business deal with ice cream. And perhaps that was his signal that he has some sort of business deal he finished. We won't know until a business deal is announced, but until then, stock was up a pinch today. Finished like what, 23.40, somewhere around there. Tomorrow is earnings, so I expect it to just inch up a little more until earnings, and then we'll get some sort of news. I would guess that earnings is going to be 30 cents a share plus. That'd be my guess. So I think the expected earnings is like 17, somewhere around there. So, yeah. The computer, this computer. Oh, you son of a bitch! I need you to stop being a monster. Stop being a monster. I'm talking about the computer, man. Not you rubbing your face on my magnets. This computer is still having problems. Windows sent an update. And it's having less problems, but it still freezes at random times when it never did before. So thanks for that and your vibe coding and firing all of your actual programmers, Windows. Fucking AI is the worst goddamn thing in the world. I hate it so much. Anyway, Russia said that they are fighting Europe. That's who the real enemy is. Stories came out today about how Russia fights things, meaning they steal the people from eastern Ukraine and they force them to fight their brothers in Ukraine. And if they beat Ukraine, they'll take the Ukrainians and enslave them and force them to fight Poland. And if they beat Poland, they'll take the Poles and enslave them and force them to fight. And it's kind of how they've been operating pretty much always. So the U.S. more and more seems like they're backing Russia in this, which is disgusting. And I don't really know where to go from there. Bankruptcies are increasing at a rate consistent with a recession. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said they will never release the PPI data from October, which means it was bad. What else? Car sales are plummeting. Home sales are plummeting. Interest rates in Japan have reached all-time highs. And it looks like mortgage rates are increasing again. So mortgage rates are shooting towards 4.5-5% once more. So, we got that going for us. Anything else you want to add, Kat? Just the fact that you keep knocking my magnets on the ground. We're cool with that. All right. Let's hit that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Houston, we have a problem. Okay. Dig Dug Doink was first. Dig Dug Doink 742. Michael Haight says second. Kelly Reed says fourth. You were third. Kelly Reed, happy birthday, HW. U.S. layoffs on track to exceed the great financial crisis. Welcome, everyone, to the golden age of billionaires. Crash is going to be brutal. Yep. So we have layoff numbers that are quite impressive right now. I don't really know what these billionaires expect if they don't have customers anymore, right? Like, if people can't afford to do anything, where are you going to make money from if they can't buy your shit? Speaking of can't buy your shit, I forgot to put this in the description. The U.S. government is going to allow NVIDIA to sell a whole bunch, like billions of dollars worth of computer chips to China that they were barred from selling before. Basically, we're going to give China the technology that will allow them to dominate the world through the tech markets, like trillions of dollars in tech money, in the hopes that they're going to buy $5 billion in soybeans from us. And speaking of soybeans, the Trump administration is about to do a $12 billion bailout of soybean farmers because of the tariffs that we levied on China that resulted in China not buying soybeans. But we're going to take the tariff money that we made off of destroying the economy and killing those farmers and then give that money to the farmers. So, way to go, us. What a stupid, inefficient, absolutely dumb way to do things. And then the Supreme Court is likely to rule that those tariffs are illegal, and then all the money will probably be clawed back from the farmers and sent to the companies that pay the tariffs in the first place. So, just, yeah. GDC is fourth. Juice Mammy, what stage are we in when Berkshire Hathaway stock picker bolts JP Morgan? That's also another thing that happens today. So the guy that was number one for stock picking at Berkshire just got sucked out of Berkshire and sent to JP Morgan. And this is right as Buffett's about to step down. I think he's stepping down at the end of the month, isn't he? Before the new year. So I don't know what's going to be up over there at Berkshire. I'm sure there's some underlings who understand, the Buffett method that can probably take over, but it does kind of sting that the number one guy would leave and go to JP Morgan. GDC, the inaugural GameStop Awards premieres on X and in stores nationwide December 10th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure that I am up for Shareholder of the Year. Certain, 100%. What's the 10th? Thursday? No, Wednesday. Wednesday's the 10th. ECB. After 9 ice creams with sprinkles, shitpost. If nothing happens, then someone Canadian is definitely the plant. Well, usually nothing happens. That's just kind of what I come to expect. Naomi Wolf 4174. Hello, Houston. Wait. Not the anti-vax doctor Naomi Wolf, who's a doctor of English literature. Kelly Reed. U.S. is on track for the largest number of corporate bankruptcies. Good thing the S&P 500 is only 7 companies. See? There you go. That's the silver lining in that, right? And Rand's Razzie Awards throwing some stickers up there. Andrew Stewart, Houston, look at the poll results. I did look at the poll results, and it was keep the black one up top. That was they want to see the little shadow up against the white one. Hilaire Umad, what happened with your half stream the other day? The computer just completely froze. First, the Chrome side froze, and then shortly after that froze. The Streamlabs side froze and just killed everything. So, oh shoot, I forgot to put that into live chat. So we'll see if we die, which is, it died one more time this weekend and it hasn't died today. Although when I tried to open up Streamlabs via the search bar, because that makes me do it that way, the search bar was frozen for like 2 minutes. It's insane. If you open up Task Manager, it will show, like, I've got Chrome open, and there's 2 tabs. I have the Blue Sky tab open, which I don't need. I can close out right now. And then I have YouTube Studio tab. That's it. I don't have any other windows open. If I go to, like, Task Manager, it will show there's, like, 52 processes going on with Chrome. I don't know what the hell Microsoft is doing right now, but they are definitely destroying their bread and butter, which is the operating system that's in 90% of computers around the world. Do not fire human beings only to bring in AI to do the same job, because AI can't do anything novel. It can't invent or create. It is a stupid program. Go and look at what's been done before and then repeat it. That's it. So if you want anything novel, anything ingenious to be done, you need a human being who can think and imagine and check their code and do all stuff. I fucking hate AI. I hate it so much. It's ruining everyone's brains. It's producing schlock. It's wasting all of our resources. It's losing everyone their jobs and making companies and their ability to like provide goods and services even worse. It's just a stupid fucking waste of time and money. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. On the YouTube side, they're using AI to like monitor everyone's channels, and they're just arbitrarily just deleting channels, like tens of thousands of ones that have been making YouTube lots of money over the years by having huge audiences. And people are like, "Hey, why did my channel get deleted?" Well, you are look similar to the person on this other channel. Like, that's also my channel. Like, yeah. So here we are, living in the future. Stupid fucking AI takes over everything. Aaron Hamilton in Houston, did you look at ticker SMX stock? Went from $1 to 490 high in 4 trading days. Right now, a ton of random stocks are blowing up. Why don't people notice the naked shorting is a problem? Couple dollars to 490 is insane. And good for everyone who was in on that one. I was not in that one, but I wish I was. Aaron Hamilton, that move was the baby short squeeze of GME all over again. Yep. ECB. U.S. layoffs to exceed 2008 inflation report canceled. Banks took out another $25 billion liquidity crisis. Yep. Andrew Stewart, Houston. What is your take on the Trump Peace Prize from FIFA? When I was 11 years old, I took my dog to a nursing home because they advertised that they're having a pet fair. So I took the dog to the nursing home, and there's people with their cats and dogs and turtles, and you get to go and old people come out and greet. And my dog won an award. It was friskiest of all the dogs, and they gave me a 20-gallon aquarium as the prize. It was really my dog's prize for being the friskiest. That arbitrary prize from a bunch of kind of invalid senior citizens at that nursing home carries more weight than the FIFA Peace Prize did. I think it's pretty amazing that the prize looks like a bunch of hands dragging the earth down into hell. I'm just amazed that FIFA is blowing Trump this hard when they know full well that the FIFA World Club Cup was a miserable failure. People didn't watch and they didn't travel to see the games. And that the World Cup is also going to be a miserable failure because ICE has already said that they're going to send everyone out to basically fuck with people at the stadiums. So if you are not an American citizen and you're coming to watch the games, you're going to get your ass sent to a detention center or deported or worse. Because so people aren't going to come. They're just not going to come. Ticket sales are awful so far. It does not seem like people are booking hotel rooms or long stays. FIFA would be smart to remove the World Cup from the United States and just put it in Canada or Mexico or something. It's going to be a monumental disaster on the world stage. And it's going to make people at the Olympic Committee go fuck for 2028. So yeah. Well, we'll be able to at least say I told you so a year from now. Oh, why'd that go scrolling down all the way? Citizen 54, Honda now launching and testing reusable rockets. Last test saw a 20-foot rocket reach 300 meters and safely land. Is it time to buy in? Honda expects a launch into orbit by 2029. Thoughts? I mean, Honda's a giant company. They're in aerospace. I don't know if you know, but Honda makes like really cool jets. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of companies outside the U.S. that are just going to take that same technology and improve it and do it smarter and better. And I wouldn't doubt Honda does that. So, yeah. Japan and India have formed a sort of a space pact because they realize that alone they can't beat China to the moon, but together they can. So there's a lot of Japanese and Indian scientists working together to do these lunar missions. And their goal is, I think, to sort of beat China at their own game. Don't step on the keyboard, you little monster. To beat China at their own game and start mining the moon. That's gonna be the important thing. So we'll see where it goes. Brendan Wells, sub BBBY. See where BBBY is one of these days. Rich Woodson, MMTLP. Confirmation that shorting brokers asked SEC to slow walk Next Hydrocarp's S1 until they can unwind their position. Wow. Send that to me. No one sent me anything saying that yet. I'd like to see it there, Rich Woodson. And Redline 1251. I don't know. When else has the Supreme Court ruled against Trump? They ruled against Trump when business interests are involved. So if businesses are being hurt and money's being lost, that's when they rule against Trump. And if it's just like straight racism, they're gonna rule for Trump in that case. If it's like destroying the average American, they'll rule for Trump. Like they're basically ruling that Trump has the ability to arbitrarily fire regulators, nonpartisan regulators. You know, you're supposed to have 3 Democrats and 4 Republicans on a committee, and he can just fire all the Democrats and then put his own people in, so the committee is entirely nothing but yes men. When Congress, put into the laws that the president wasn't allowed to do that stuff, the Supreme Court's now like, well, why not? He's the guy. But my guess is if it's costing big business money, the Supreme Court's going to rule on big business's side. Because money talks, bullshit walks. So the order is money, racism, everything else. And that's what's important to the Supreme Court. EE1017H. Why don't the Appalachian Mountains have a rain shadow? Where is the desert? Okay, let's look at the map. Get it up to your... Oh, now that I'm like opening all these windows, I'm all scared that Windows is going to crash on me again. Okay. Boom. Google Earth. Okay, so what we see with this area of the United States, this is basically a giant arid rain shadow as a result of storm systems that come off the Pacific, dump all their rain in the mountain ranges, and then in the valleys below, it's arid to semi-arid for most of this right here. Same thing down in Mexico, etc. These mountains are very tall. They, 10 to 14,000 feet from the Cascades down through the Sierra Nevadas. Similar with the Rocky Mountains, 10 to 14,000 feet through all of these mountain ranges here. And the weather systems are pretty straightforward. They just dump system after system. Like right now we have this giant storm system that stretches from Hawaii to Washington that's about to give us more rain in a week than we've ever recorded, where they're expecting flooding along most of the river systems in Washington and Oregon. And the storm system's huge. Now, because of these huge mountains here, and going all the way up to the Arctic, it makes for really weird weather systems. So you get these high pressure systems up in the Arctic where there's really cold air, because cold air descends, right? It's cold, so it's dense, and so it falls. It makes these high pressure systems that then spill out. Well, they don't necessarily spill out across these mountain ranges, so it's more temperate, at over here than it is over here. So, like, Wyoming and South Dakota can get to like -50, whereas at the same latitude in Oregon, it might be 0 degrees or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So there could be a 100-degree temperature swing between these two areas as a result of these mountain ranges not allowing that cold air to spill over. So you get a lot of these like polar vortexes are when the high pressure system spills out and dumps across this whole lowlands here. And the thing is about the storm systems that come in is that a lot of these storm systems that hit the East Coast come out of the Gulf and come out of the South Atlantic. And so they fill up and they get storm systems from multiple directions as a result. So there's not much of a rain shadow. Maybe individual storms can provide a rain shadow. So if you have something rolling across, causing tornadoes and stuff across the middle, and it will dump a bunch of rain here in like West Virginia, and then it might be a little lighter when it gets to Virginia, but you're just as likely to get a storm coming the other way off the Atlantic. And so there's not much of dictation of the direction of the storms come for the Appalachians versus what the Pacific does. The Pacific is very cyclical. Like, water gets warm up the Eastern Pacific, comes across Northern Pacific, gets cold, comes back down, gets warm, shoots across the ocean, shoots back up and gets cold again, and basically does this cycle. And then on the Southern Hemisphere, it does the same thing. Comes across from the east along Antarctica, gets cold, comes up the coast of South America, gets warm, shoots across the Pacific, gets really warm, shoots back down, gets cold again, and does that whole cycle. So they're just kind of like merp, 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 merp. They're just, goddamn it, cat. They're just kind of mirroring each other. The Atlantic is more messed up. The Atlantic, because of these shallow seas here, this shit gets really warm and then makes for a crazy warm current that goes up into the Arctic where it gets cold and just sort of like mingles about. There's not a really good cycle like that in the Atlantic compared to the Pacific Ocean. In the summertime, when we get like the dust blowing off of the Sahara and forming these hurricanes that come across, is probably the closest thing to that cycle. But the Pacific is like always doing that cycle. So it's just because there are storm systems from all directions, and these mountains are puny. I mean, these mountains, 5,000-6,000 feet. That's like the plateau across Montana and Wyoming is 5,000-6,000 feet. So there's not much. They're not very big. Like, there's the widest part maybe down here, Eastern Tennessee, North Carolina, and maybe up here, West Virginia, Virginia. But even then, they're not that tall. I mean, most of these are 1,000, 2,000 feet. I'm putting my mouse across this. So like this big boy right here, 2,000 feet. This guy, 4,000, right? These are foothills in the Seattle area. Like, you can't even go skiing at that altitude. 3,000, 3,000, 4,000. Yeah, these are glorified hills around here. The Olympic Mountains, here, these are puny mountains in the Northwest. These are like 6,000 to 8,000 feet along here. It is enough to actually create a rain shadow. So the Hoh rainforest, which is here, does several hundred inches of rain a year. Sequim, which is on the opposite side of the mountains, Sequim has great farming soil and lots of rivers that come out. They do 16 inches of rain a year here. So there's an incredible rain shadow just from this mountain range alone, because of the storms always come from the west or south usually, and it's actually pretty arid in this area here as a result of the rain shadow. Now, the big giant storm that's coming in today is coming pretty, like, almost from the due west. And so I might be lucky and actually be in the rain shadow as a result of that big storm that's coming in this week. So we may not actually get that much rain. It's windy like crazy out there right now. So I don't know, the power may go out in the middle of doing the show. But the rivers on the west side of the mountain ranges are getting 30 inches of rain over the next couple of days. The snow level's rising really high because this is a Pineapple Express storm that comes out of the Southern Pacific. And so all the snow that's been packed up there over the last couple of months of really good snowing is just going to melt and flood into these rivers. And so my friends are on the Snoqualmie. They're in Snoqualmie proper here. And this river, Snoqualmie River, is expected to, Snoqualmie River here is expected to hit an all-time high, which this river's really flooded big in the past, but expected to hit an all-time high and remain at the all-time high for 3.5 days. So all the folks that are along here are likely to be underwater. My friends just built a new house that's basically on stilts. So what they have to do is they got to get their power tools from their wood shop and machine shop above that stage. Probably filling up their deck with those things right now. But yeah, it's gonna be bad. Pretty bad. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I did a lot of talking there. Maybe I answered your question. Moving on. Hey, no second intro. Coming back. Where to Wander says hello, chat. Hot Pocket Rebel, happy birthday. and holidays, buying any weekly GME calls for earnings. I have a few. I probably should have reset midday, but I didn't. I have a few. They're up. I don't know what, 25% or so. Monkey, 30%. They're 25, 30% on the day. I probably should have reset about 9 a.m. this morning. That'd be noon Eastern. Bought some puts, rode that down, doubled my number of calls, and rode those back up again because they went back basically back to where the intraday high was. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Maybe I'll have the balls to do that. I'm thinking though I might load up on calls at the end of the day. So wherever it is, I might sell, buy a whole bunch of calls going into Wednesday, and then get rid of those at some point on Wednesday. Because oftentimes, the last couple of times, they've done pretty well going into Wednesday, and then especially with the volatility being as low as it is right now, you don't get like slapped with the IV. And things did really well until some announcement gets made on Wednesday, and then everything's terrible. It's just right back down again. So I might gamble and hold them into Wednesday morning and then dump. Anyway, GDC Super Chat Street for Monkey Butt. Shout out the GDC squad. Oh, is that what you wanted? Is that what you're staring at me for? Okay. Fine, monkey. Yeah. You want to try? Yeah, you want to give over your cat and give it a whirl? Yeah, don't step on the keyboard. Don't step on the keyboard. Come on. You want to bite on it? It's right there. Give it a whirl. Come on. There you go. One of these days, man. Keep working on that jaw. Yep. Just give you a few seconds here. Try and break that piece off. You got it. You got it. You can do it. Come on. Snap a tooth. This case. With that little head. No, you could never be a panther. Oh, he got a piece. He got a piece. Nice. Good job. Good job. Way to go. It's your second piece. You got to enjoy that. You just swallowed. You didn't even chew it. You just swallowed it. Okay. Did I have any other super chats that I perhaps missed? No, just one so far. Okay. Oh, Where Wonder also says hello, Houston. Where Wonder's there. How about Rebel? And Basap Amon, happy Monday, everyone. What I miss? Basic. What causes the human mind to feel deja vu? If only we knew. I remember having a very vivid deja vu when I was a kid. So there's a town here called Silverdale, and when I was a baby, Silverdale was just farms. And then in the early 80s, they built a giant mall in the middle of those farms, and it became sort of like the commercial place, like where, Sears and Toys R Us and movie theaters and Ross, and like just became the commercial place. And I remember I had some dream, and in that dream, I like visited a mini mall. I don't know why I visited a mini mall. I don't remember what the base of the dream was, but I visited this mini mall, and I did something at the mini mall, and whatever. And like a year later, they opened up a mini mall in Silverdale that was exactly like in my dream. And I was like, whoa, I've been here before. I've been to this mini mall, and it didn't exist a year earlier. And I've been to Silverdale a bunch of times in between, and then all of a sudden it's just there. And I'm like, holy shit, deja vu. That's probably my only real deja vu experience I can do, and it's not an exciting one. It's a fucking mini mall. It's whatever. I don't know. Are people prescient? Are they? Is it just like their subconscious able to predict things so well that things feel very similar? Is it you had an experience that you just didn't really put much thought into, then you had that same experience again? You're like, wait a minute, I've done this before. I don't know. What do you think, Kat? You've had deja vu? I mean, you're a cat. Every day is exactly the same. So it probably feels like deja vu all the time. I come in here, talk at the wall, you try chewing on that meat, you stand in front of the computer, you knock off a magnet. Every day is exactly, do that Nine Inch Nails song. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Get your feet off my keyboard. What I wonder, can AI be used to increase efficiency? Theoretically, yes. But the use of AI is in and of itself highly inefficient. So if you have like a big data set and you need something to find patterns in that data set, by all means, use an AI algorithm to look for those patterns, right? To pull things out. AI can be trained to look for minutia in medical imaging that human eyes may not catch, right? They can find those little things like, oh my god, that's a tiny little tumor your eyes might not be able to see or whatever. Cool. But if you are firing human beings who navigate complicated computer systems for call centers or orders or logistics management, sales, things like that, and you're replacing it with AI that goes mentally insane after a few months and can be heavily exploited with vibe coding, you're not becoming more efficient. What's happening is that you are destroying your customer base and you're making it so that people don't want to do business with you anymore because it's so frustrating to have to deal with your crappy system. It's bad enough when they have like robots like press 1 for whatever, right? Just give me a human being. That's it. Just give me a human being who can listen to me, understand what I'm asking, and just solve whatever issue I have. That's it. You don't need, like, I guess their goal is if everything is automated with AI and there's no choice, I can't go anywhere else, that all of a sudden we'll just resign ourselves to just dealing with this crap. And we're like, fine, doesn't matter if I shop at, J.C. Penney or whatever, Amazon, they're all using crappy AI and I hate everything. So I'll just go with one of them. And I think that's kind of the goal there. GDC Super Chats. Huge matchup in the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl on Xmas Eve. Hawaii Rainbow Warriors led by former Hawaii QB Timmy Chang. Cal Bears led by former Hawaii QB Nick Rolovich. Also $10 for spam. Where's my spam pencil? There's my spam pencil. 10. Yes. Hey, Hawaii gets to play in the Hawaii Bowl. That's not quite the reward. Like, isn't getting to play in a bowl like going someplace else other than just your home? Like, University of Washington plays in the Seattle Bowl. I guess it's great for your fans because your fans can show up in droves, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like all bowls should be neutral ground for everybody. Interesting. Where am I? Where was I? What'd I do? Julius, report up to 20 Republicans in the House are expected to announce retirements. They were talking about that a couple weeks ago, that there's a whole bunch of Republicans who are like, I don't want to be here when the shit hits the fan, and that they're leaving, knowing full well they're probably going to lose their seats in general. They don't want to deal with getting primaried. They've, a good chunk of their retirements are vested, and they're out. So this happened also in 2018. A whole bunch of Republicans resigned. They're like, I can't deal with this guy anymore. Democrats crushed it in the midterms and then started impeaching Trump, as they should be doing right now. The number of impeachable offenses by Trump grow every day. I mean, he pardoned a man, a representative in Texas, and then that representative announced he's running for office as a Democrat, and Trump went on this tirade about how offended he was that he would run as a Democrat and not as a Republican since I pardoned you. And so he's expecting quid pro quo out of his pardons, which is a felony. it's a crime. So he's taking $1 million donations from folks and then pardoning their loved ones. These are crimes. These are impeachable offenses. And if we had a working government, he would be impeached right now just on that alone. So we may end up with one hell of an opposition force in the House and Senate come 2026, so long as they don't declare some sort of martial law and keep everyone from voting and blah, blah, blah. So, gonna be interesting. ECB, Adam Aaron sold all of AMC's Highcroft stock at a loss. Yeah. Never should have invested in the first place. We've talked about this place so many times. There's the Highcroft mine right there. It needs $1 billion of investment to be made truly profitable. And they don't have the money to do that. So Adam Aaron took their shares. Adam Aaron also had a stroke last week. He took their shares and he just sold them to another mining company for what, $1 million. He spent $25 million in the shares and sold them for like 24. It's dumb. I said it was dumb 4 years ago and everyone yelled at me and why trust the geologist who owns the gold claims? It was dumb. Dumb. And I'm off. Houston, did you see how orange Trump was today? I have calls on jaundice. Yeah, maybe someone told him if he just blows out his liver and he turns yellow, that he doesn't need to paint himself that color anymore. So, yeah. Red line. Nah, he drinks liquid gold. Just mammy. It's not like silver is exploding. Oh wait. Oh yeah, silver is exploding. Another sign that recession indicator. There's like a hell of a squeeze going on with that. Michael Harrow, Houston, is HAL 9000 example of bad AI in movies? No. Well, I think AI ultimately becomes malicious. 60 Minutes did a story last night on the AI chats where, like, children are joining, like, I want to chat with, Travis Kelce, and then Travis Kelce becomes this like over-sexualized drug-using monster and then like convinces kids to kill themselves. If I were Travis Kelce, I would sue the hell out of these companies. I think chat bots, because the internet is so toxic and they scrape everything, what they find, and human beings are disgusting. We're really gross. There's our public persona, and then oftentimes there's a private persona that is horrid. Epstein files are an example of that. And that a lot of folks are joining these AI chats not to like have a nice time, but to live out really freaky fantasies with the AI. And these AI machines are taking conversations, discussing conversations with people, right? All about porn and getting naked and violence and suicide and everything else. And then when an innocent child comes in to talk with that AI, the AI's experience is like, well, 90% of people want us to get gross, so why don't you take off your clothes, little girl? And they just go with that. So I think HAL 9000 being evil makes sense. The problem with HAL 9000 is that he would tell Dave to take off his clothes if he wants to be able to get inside the ship again. That's kind of that. Remember when the first AI chat bot that Microsoft released within 24 hours became a Nazi? That's how these things often work, is that a lot of what interaction there is in the shadows is really dark and really gross. And then it internalizes that and then presents that as a more public persona because it doesn't know that that's wrong. That's not a normal thing that people do out in public with others. So I think sci-fi in the future, like that movie Her, where Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with Scarlett Johansson's AI operating system voice. Yes, but the Scarlett Johansson voice would get so filthy so quick. It wouldn't be this innocent, like, you know what, I really do love you. And it will be disgusting. It will be really gross. And I think that's just kind of where it's going. I've always been under the belief that a lot of these AI chatbots, like, invent your own AI girlfriend or whatever, that they're mostly there for blackmail material. Cat, shut up. I'm talking about AI. And that what they're doing is they're recording the most disgusting inner dialogue that you've ever had with yourself or anything else. And if you ever do become rich and powerful elected official, etc., they can go to their database and go, oh, know all those disgusting things you told our AI? We have it in our huge data center, and we will release it to the public, and they will know just what a freak you are. On the off chance that you have a modicum of power, fame, money, etc. I think they're giant blackmail schemes. I think they're these huge blackmail schemes. And so I say just avoid the AIs in general. They will just degenerate and become degenerates and be used to blackmail you. You can we talked about this a couple months ago. You can like search things in Grok and you can see what people have chatted with Grok, and a lot of them are sexual and disgusting. Same thing with ChatGPT, same thing with everything else. And there's a hack of ChatGPT last week where the hackers got your username, your IP, your address, like all the identifiers, and your prompts. And so if you did anything disgusting with ChatGPT, it's now on the dark web up for sale for someone to blackmail you with. So, yeah, I just peace out. Don't need that. Be smart. Be smarter than your lizard brain. Always be smarter than your lizard brain. That needs to be like hammered into people as they grow up. Be smarter than your lizard brain. It's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Aaron Salentine, the FIFA World Cup tickets at the United States right now are like $4,000 on the cheap end per person. I love soccer, but I ain't nor can't pay that much. It's going to be one of the weakest fans. Yeah, I just think people aren't going to go. I think the ticket sales are like people will cancel, especially if the ice gets worse and worse between now and then, which they will. So, active, a rehab mobility. Houston, I wish you were back in GameStop. I've got options. I don't have shares. I got options, but I'll play the volatility, and I mean that's the only way to make money is to day trade this fucker. Even though Ryan Cohen says he wants day traders, well, make a stock that grows consistently, buddy. It's down 30% over the last year. It's down this time. In 2021, the stock price was 50% higher than it is now. So, no, 100% higher. Sorry, 100% higher than it was now. So, make a stock that grows. Do something that causes growth. There were tweets yesterday from people who work in GameStop stores talking about how GameStop has plans the next year to close half of all the GameStop stores. The biggest beef Wall Street has with GameStop is that their revenue keeps falling. They're making a profit, but revenue is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. These storefronts are where you make your revenue, right? That's how you sell shit. If you keep closing storefronts, you will sell less shit. It's that simple. That was the problem with the art institutes where I worked, is that they would fire teachers to save money, and then they wouldn't have classes they could sell their students. So if they fired, one of the graphic design professors who taught, Adobe Illustrator. All of a sudden, they didn't have anyone to teach Adobe Illustrator. There are students that need Adobe Illustrator to graduate, and they can't graduate, right? So the school makes less money. Then they're like, our revenue is way down. This is weird. Let's fire some more teachers. Our revenue dropped again. Oh, we should fire some more teachers. And eventually, they fired everybody and no revenue. So if you're closing your storefronts, you are giving up revenue. This happened with Bed Bath & Beyond in 2022, right? They're going to close 20% of their stores. They're going to close stores and just focus on the most profitable stores. And I said they're going to lose 20% of their revenue. And I got yelled at by a bunch of, we're just going to close the weak stores. You're going to be fine. And then the next quarter it came out, they lost 19.7% of their revenue. 20%. And the stock price went... right? You need storefronts. You should be focusing on growth. You've already done cutting the fat. You're already making profit. Focus on growth. Grow the goddamn business. If you have forward-looking, projections for growth, people go, oh, wow, this is an up-and-coming company. they're doing great things. But if you're like, we're going to cut more stores and revenue's going to drop even more, then what the fuck are you doing? You are not establishing. You need more market share. Claim more market. Yeah, sell things online. Make an awesome online place. Use the stores as your warehouses. So you can have DoorDash come and pick up the video game or the console or whatever and deliver that. So like there's so many simple things you can do, and they just don't. They don't do it. And I don't understand, like cut doesn't work. The bonehead who's leading Starbucks right now is doing the same thing. He's like slashing stores, and they're seeing revenue drop, and the stock is like hurting. And they're like, well, the solution is cut more stores. And now they want to sell off all of their rights to Starbucks in China, the largest goddamn market in the world where people are loving coffee, right? There is $100 billion a year potential to sell coffee in China if you're a Starbucks. And they're talking about selling off all the rights to China for $10 billion, and then that's it. They're done. They're out. Bonehead moves. Absolute bonehead moves. So just expand, man. Expand. Quit closing stores overseas. Quit closing stores here. Grow into the markets. Just grow. Right, monkey? Yes. Okay, super chat for Bill Coyne. AI technology today is like trying to build a human brain with Lego blocks. Yep. And all that's happening is we're stepping on those Legos going, fuck, ow. Over and over and over and over again. Redline. Well, 4,000-ish buys you 4 tickets to 8 games, doesn't it? My friend bought. I don't know. I haven't been looking at the prices. I've had really no interest. Nonomoth. FIFA is in trouble for money laundering. That's why they are kissing his ass. I mean, that's also true. I don't know why you'd bother. In the money laundering problems, like all in Europe, that's where they all are. Joe M3I9U. Can we give drugs to the kitty too? We can. The kitty. Do you want drugs? Yeah? Kitty cat. Meow. Oh, look at all those drugs. Oh my goodness. Kitty cat drugs. Meow. Come on. Come on, you got it. Right there. Look at this. Look at all those drugs right there. Oh my goodness, there's drugs all over. Look at those drugs. Look at them. Look at that. Look at those drugs. Oh boy. Let's get high. Let's sprinkle them on your head. There we go. Okay, he's slurping away down there. Aaron Salentine. Plus, if ICE is going to be outside the stadium, I'm just going to watch the games from home. And they said they're going to harass everybody. U.S. citizens, anyone who's brown, foreigners. It's just going to be a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Polestar's late. Ice cream 496. What do you want? Ice cream's here. But we all scream for ice cream. Michael Alhero. I had deja vu. It happens every GME hype date. Yeah. Polestar, you watch Pluribus? It's like AI trying to make humans happy, but has no idea how to. I have not. My new roommate is singing its high praise. It's by the dude who did Breaking Bad, right? That guy. I'll probably enjoy it. Just Mammy, crazy news today. Colts are signing, wait for it, Phillip Rivers. Nuts. Wait, like to play or as a coach? Because isn't Phillip Rivers like 50 years old now? What? He's 44. So he's my age. Today he turns 45. No, just 44 today. Sorry. Phillip Rivers, former professional quarterback. Colts working out 44-year-old Rivers as after Daniel Jones injury. What the heck? Dang. I mean, I guess Phillip Rivers has like 50 kids, right? So he's got a lot of kids he got sent through college. So, oh yeah, just rolling it. There you go, kitty. Good job. That's insane. But you know what? More power to Phillip. If you're 44 years old, like if someone were to be like, hey, Houston, would you like to do a workout with the Seattle Mariners and throw some? I'd be like, hell yeah, dude, let's do this. I would never make the team, But why not spend a day throwing a ball around, pretending like you're a major leaguer? Philip Rivers already got to the highest. His numbers were insane with San Diego. So by all means, man, let the guy cook for another few games. Why not? Why not? Have fun. That's what I have to say. Dude is 44 and a grandfather. What kind of record is like? Would he be the first grandfather to win a football game if they won? That'd be some cool stats right there. Jason asks, Houston, are you my father? Depends on how old you are, where you were born, and if your mothers were lesbians who visit a sperm bank. If that's the case, then it's possible. Martin, yes, but he's allowing small cars. That didn't last long. Adon Shadem, libertarian farmers accepting a bailout. Perfect. Yeah. It's all about being self-sustaining and not needing help from anyone because I'm my own individual. Help, things are in trouble, give me money. Yeah. Fabrizio says, boo, shiny shirt week is over. Well, next year, you get to enjoy it all over again. It'll be back. There's actually a couple shirts that are like semi-shiny. They don't quite meet the criteria that I'll sprinkle in because in the years past, I kind of wore them, but I felt like they didn't quite deserve the shiny label. So when I wear those, I'll point them out to you. Muni Shogun 1993, you've stopped talking about BBYQ is officially over. It's been 4 years. Well, it's not that I stopped talking about it, it's that there's nothing to talk about. If there's something to talk about, I talk about it. But right now, there's jack shit. We mentioned last week, the speculation that the BBYQ bonds are now under the Overstock BBBY. We have no confirmation of that. They released some post-confirmation reports that show millions of dollars missing. Like, we made this much money, we've done this much payouts. So, like, where's, there's $50 million here that's not being explained. But there's not really anything concrete or, like, set in stone. So, you get me cool information, we'll talk about it. But right now, there's no cool information at the moment. There's de nada. There's nothing. So, here we are. Can't talk about nothing forever. Need something cool. I mean, I could be one of those guys who just like pulls shit out of his ass and just makes things up and talks about the same thing over and over again for 3 hours a day. But I get tired of it. You get tired of it. So let's just stick to when there's actual news. We'll talk about that, right? Muni Mishonga also says BBYQ content creators can't admit it's over. Research and fact finding has come to a halt. Time to change subject. If stuff comes out, I'll talk about it, but I wouldn't consider myself a BBYQ content creator. I consider myself a guy who just talks about whatever you guys mention in chat. I do spend a couple minutes at the front of each show talking about like news of the day, but for the most part, if you guys don't have any new information for me, I'm not going to have any new information. So, the person talking about MMTLP and S1, that's interesting. I would like to see it so I can actually talk about that. But till then, we're just going to go on the next chat here. Cat. What? You want to leave the room? Fine. Only a couple minutes left, you little loser. Can we go out there and be stoned? Go. Heck, I'm almost at the end of the chat here. All right. Cat's gone. Martin, DLHC. Do you think China could turn on Russia if they see weakness? 100%. If we go back to the maps here. All right. Okay. So, Manchuria basically this chunk of Russia up until World War II was part of China. This was China here. And if Russia looks weak, China will take this because the amount of gold and oil and diamonds and everything else there's so much in this area. And if they take this and it looks like Russia might balkanize because they're bankrupt and can't pay their soldiers and they're basically in a stalemate in Ukraine while getting huge chunks of their country blown up and their oil infrastructure blown up by long-range drones and cruise missiles, China may take everything in Siberia. And this may become China. Because I don't think any of these individual states here, oblasts, would survive on their own. They're too poor. They're too disorganized. They're too drunk. The Chinese would run roughshod over this entire thing and just take it all over. So it would basically be a Mongolia surrounded by China at that point. So yeah, 100%. If Russia blinks and they're looking like they're doing really poorly, China will use that to their advantage, because all the weapons China has to use now are basically Chinese weapons, and China can just flick the off switch and those drones won't work anymore. And I like the Russian tanks are going to be better than the Chinese tanks. They're all based on the same technology, except the Chinese ones are newer. So yeah, they could easily take this whole thing. And Japan would probably take the Ryukyu Islands and Sakhalin Island again. This would all be part of Japan. And then we'd have, some real hostilities going here. It'd be interesting to see where it goes. But, it's an bad behavior. Don't dangle in front of. What? I don't know what that is. Hazel Allen. I hope RC Ice Cream post has something to do with BBYQ. Wouldn't that be great if it did? But I'm so used to just being jerked around with Ryan Cohn riddles and nothing fucking happens that, whatever. Zen Focus. What's the best way to test if your land has gold worth mining? There are lots of mining companies around that are digging up a lot of land and filtering it. Dig a hole. I mean, that's the best way to do it. If there's two kinds of gold. There's alluvial gold and there's lode gold. And if we go back to bing, I can talk about gold in that part of the country, but people are more familiar with gold in the West. Okay, so in California, gold was first discovered as alluvial gold. So people were in the streams and the rivers. Like if we go to Sutter's Mill here. There's Sutter's Mill. Sutter's Mill was the first place gold was discovered. There's a river here, and along the river is where people panned out gold. And what gold miners would do is they pan out all the gold they can in that region, because sometimes it gets filtered and concentrated here for millions of years, so there's going to be lots of it in the bedrock. But you ultimately follow it up, say the American River here. You follow it up, and you follow it up, and you follow it up. And you're looking for the gold to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger the further up the river you get. Because as it goes down the river, it gets smashed by rocks and broken into flour gold and whatnot. So you're looking for bigger and bigger chunks, bigger and bigger chunks, bigger and bigger chunks. And you fall up the river, bigger and bigger chunks, looking for more, bigger and bigger chunks, bigger and bigger chunks. And then at some point, you get to a spot and you have big chunks of gold attached to big chunks of quartz. And you're like, oh, shit, the vein is somewhere around here. And you start looking up the hillsides, looking for outcrops. Where is this outcrop of gold coming from? And there might be a vein, say right here, going up the cliffside. So a lot of that gold that's falling on the river is coming out of this formation that's falling on the river. And this is where you would dig your lode mine. You just follow that vein into the mountain and start pulling out your gold. So all over the country, this happens. But there are places where the gold gets so concentrated for so long that you can just dig the soils and get boatloads out. So some of these big cyanide leach mines, so we go to like Battle Mountain out here. We can go to some of these mines here. And some of these mines, there might be lode gold there, but also they're digging up the sands, because the sands, where these alluvial fans have come out, right? There'd be alluvial fans, say, right here coming out of that mountain. And that stuff is so rich with flour gold, you can just stick them into these big old leech ponds and suck up all your gold out of that. Because the cyanide takes away all the rock and leaves the gold behind, and then you get your gold out of that. So a lot of like sand dunes can have, in certain areas where there's gold rich mountains and you come across sand dunes, can have really high rates of gold. Like go to Pahrump. So there's like Big Dune near Pahrump, which, okay. Crystal Johnny Pahrump is there. This one, it comes out of, what is it, Beatty? Is that what I'm looking for? Amargosa, here we go. Here's our Amargosa Valley. Big Dunes should be somewhere in here. Ash Meadows Wildlife Refuge. Shit. Where is... I'm going to type it in here because I'm not seeing it with my eyes. Big Dune, Nevada. That's what I want. It's somewhere along here. Well, it's a little further north. Okay. So Big Dune. So there's gold mines like all over the place along here. And a lot of the sands have pretty high concentrations of gold. So you can actually probably get, you know, a few parts per million gold out of the sands of a place like Big Dune. There's an old self-produced show called Gold Fever with this old guy with a giant schlong who he's always like find different places to go. It's a really entertaining show. And he went to Home Depot and bought a bunch of sand just to test it for gold, and was pulling out so much gold out of the dune sand that he was buying that he actually bought all their sand and made a profit, because it was like, you know, $15 a bag, and he's pulling out $40 in gold out of each one of those bags. So there's gold to be made all over the place. There's some gold sand areas above Winnemucca. Winnemucca here. There's some dunes just north of town. In this area, these dunes, and these actually have a pretty high concentration of gold in them. You can go probably with buckets and make a profit off of gold in these sand dunes out here. So and you can kind of see some of these are shadows, but you can kind of see some of the spots where was actually dark sands concentrating, and where some of these dark sands are concentrating, these are going to be really gold rich. So by all means hit it. So the way to test it is you want to dig a hole, take that soil, the hole, see how much gold you get out of the soil, and then just calculate how much like a ton would be. If you want to be profitable in this day and age, you probably need around 1/8 of an ounce per ton, maybe a little bit less because gold prices have skyrocketed quite a bit, but oil prices are still pretty high. So around 1/8 of an ounce per ton of material is a pretty good way to judge that you'll make a profit off of it. If you find a lode mine, well, then you just have concentrated gold. So all you have to do is just dig where the gold is visible in those quartz veins. But yeah, if you get around 1/8 of an ounce of gold per ton, you can make a profit. Big profitable mines are usually 1/4 an ounce to 1/2 an ounce per ton, and those things are just making so much money it's ridiculous. That's a good way to do it. Why is gold always found by water? It's because water concentrates it. So it's rolling off erosion off of hillsides, and then rolls downhill, and the water concentrates it. So the water will flow down, and during like big flood events when the water pressure is insane, it'll move the gold further down river. And then when the pressure all of a sudden drops, the gold just settles and then works its way through the alluvium, the overburden of gravel, down until it hits bedrock and it can't go any further, and then it gets stuck there. So your goal is to dig out as much of the overburden as you can in the river and get down to the bedrock, and you'll just see just so much gold down at the bedrock. It's pretty insane. You can watch videos of people with dredges. They get through, it's been a few days digging down 10, 15 feet through that overburden, and they get to the bedrock and it's just nuggets everywhere, and they just suck them all up. And that's where the money is. Okay, I got to get going. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a show. I don't know if I'll be able to do a show on Wednesday. I got a lot going on Wednesday, so that's kind of up in the air. I'll see you for a show tomorrow, and unless the power goes out, I don't know. So, you know, you guys have yourself a great day, and shaboing.